Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this exciting session brought to you by FutureCareer.net. Our company is dedicated to helping professionals like you land jobs in the US or Canada. Inspired by the founder's own journey, myself, and challenges in securing my dream job, today we have an incredible opportunity to learn from Simon Abushaban, a principal in technical program management with extensive experience in crafting products that customers love, particularly in fintech, communication, and e-commerce. Simon has held senior positions at AWS, Shopify, and brings over 18 years of expertise in product management and technical project and program management. This session and coming sessions will be recorded and uploaded to YouTube and our community for everyone's benefit. We will be taking a group selfie toward the end to promote this community, and we hope to see you join us for the selfie. We'll be diving into multiple sessions on AWS. We already delivered the first session last Friday on certifications and career, and today we're focused on the TPM and PM roles. So that's the focus for today's session. This is your chance to unlock the power of and connect with an exclusive community of IT and professionals from top companies like AWS, Microsoft, Google, and more. So thanks everybody for joining, and let's get started. Simon, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ahmed. Am I audible very well?
Yes.
Great. Sorry, Ahmed, I don't see the chat. I don't know who joined, and so maybe it's a smaller group, which is sometimes is even better because they can have all the time to ask any question. But please, if you don't mind, if you can monitor the chat for me, if there's any question, raised hand or anything, that will be very helpful because I don't see anything other than my screen.
I'll do.
Sure. Yeah, thanks a lot. And again, thanks and good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to connect with you today. And just for context, I met Ahmed when I came to Canada back like 10 years ago. We were just on the same kind of like boat, coming to a new country, looking for a new job and all of that. So that was an incredible journey. And thanks, Ahmed, again for bringing me in here today. Today it might be a little bit a dry topic as well, but I'll make sure I will soothe it as much as I can. So without further ado, I'm not going to talk too much about myself. I'm a Palestinian Canadian, born in UAE, came to Canada in 2014, I would say. Since then, I started to continue pursuing my tech career. And I had my startup and then I moved to Shopify for 5 years. And then 3 years ago, I moved to Amazon. Today, I just want to make sure that maybe I bring some of maybe what I learned and share it with all of you. And I will have some maybe specific roles based on my experience and what's closer to my heart. So please make sure this is an interactive session. Don't wait maybe to ask a question toward the very end, although I will reserve some time. But if you have any question, please raise your hand and Ahmed will help me to facilitate and respond to this. So let me move on. So today, what I'm going to cover, and before I do that, I will just give maybe a disclaimer. I'm an Amazon insider, means I work for Amazon, so some information and data maybe I cannot share, but I will do myself to give the tips where I can. At the same time, I'm leveraging just public information in these slides to make sure I just put it maybe in a nicer way with my voice. So I will just make sure it's presentable to you, and I will share some maybe personal preferences on some of the available online tools and resources, and you will see toward the very end of today's session. I have no affiliation with any of those websites or service providers or resources. It's just based on pure personal interest and personal preference. Last week, I did a walkthrough on Amazon as well, AWS certification with Ahmed on the career path and how to pursue these certifications. I would say refer back to it if you are interested. There is a recorded session, or reach out to Ahmed if you are not able to find it. For today, I just want to do as well a level setting. And before I start, I want to maybe check how many of you didn't hear about maybe product management and technical program management before, or did hear about them, but maybe doesn't know exactly what they are. So if you are one of those, please maybe type 1 or +1 in the chat box. Ahmed, maybe you can help me. How many of maybe the audience here today, they are not familiar or they need kind of like more in depth, because that will help me to spend the next 30 to 45 minutes on this topic, and hopefully we can make it, beneficial for everyone.
Yeah.
I'll just give you maybe guys 10 seconds, just say type one if you are not familiar with it. So at least I can just up level the dive deep. If not, and you guys are familiar and you want to go to a specific topic, maybe then I will just move on.
So very familiar, Ramzi. Thank you, Ramzi. If you're familiar, that's good. If you're not familiar, just type one. Okay, I think everybody is familiar.
Great.
So someone is not familiar, so.
Sure. So majority, maybe they are familiar. What I will do, I'm not going to spend too much time to dive into what is program management and maybe product management. I'll just put it maybe more into or from Amazon lenses. And I will just talk about it in general, and then maybe I will focus more toward kind of like how to prepare for the interview and how to crack the interview, maybe in Amazon, if you landed for an interview in one of these roles. I just want to make sure today I'm not going to cover how to prepare your resume or your digital presence to boost your chances in landing a job interview. I will just focus on after you landed an interview and you get approached by a recruiter, what to consider, how to do it, because it's really an interesting process for Amazon. And for the first one, if you are interested to prepare your resume or kind of go into kind of like more of a digital presence and improve kind of like your chances, there is an English say that horses for the courses. So I think Ahmed is the expert on this. I think you can reach out to him to help you with that. Okay, as I mentioned, please, if you have any questions, raise your hand. Ahmed, please help me to stop, and maybe we'll go from there. Okay, quickly, I'll just cover what is Amazon for those who doesn't know. Amazon is the largest employer on earth with more than 1.5 million employees, and they operate on more than 200 countries and territories. In 2023, Amazon reported more than $514 billion revenue. And as I recall, in the mid-2023 last year, the market capitalization was over $1 trillion, making it one of the most valuable companies globally. So the question that always come in, okay, what is Amazon? What Amazon does, what are the business lines? I would say Amazon, they are in so many business lines. I think I'm just trying to list the most common, the most known ones. Most of us know Amazon Commerce or the Amazon Marketplace, where you go to Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, or any other Amazon International kind of like marketplace, which is a third-party sellers list where they can list their products and we can purchase from them. Retail is another one under the commerce where Amazon have their own products or branded products like the Amazon Basics, Ring, Eero. They as well have under the commerce the physical stores, which is the Amazon Fresh and Amazon Go, and even the Whole Foods market. And they do have definitely their fulfillment centers and another B2B commerce. The other one is, I think most of us know, it's the AWS, or what we call it, the Amazon Cloud Services, that provide a comprehensive suite of cloud services, including computing power, storage, and databases. The third one is the devices, and basically this is what they have some customer hardware devices like the Kindle readers, the Fire tables or Fire TV, or the Echo devices that are powered by Alexa. And I worked with that team before I moved to another team actually in Amazon. Digital services is another kind of like business line, like Twitch for gaming, Amazon Ads, Amazon Music, the Amazon Prime and a Prime Video, or Audible for audio or digital books. There is Amazon as well, healthcare business line, and even financial services like the Amazon Pay and Amazon Lending for the small businesses that are selling on the retail web store. Anyway, those are the top of my mind, but there are so many as well. So Amazon is a very diverse company. With the diversity, sorry, am I over speaking someone? No? Okay. Now let's go into a little bit the meat. Amazon have more than, I would say this sometimes it change, the conglomerate or they kind of like diverge or converge. They have more than 34 job categories. You can go to their public jobs portal, and you can see them. For today's session, I wanted to cover one technical and one non-technical job roles. So I will focus today into the product management and product manager. You will see there is a product manager and there is a product manager technical role. But today I will cover the non-technical product manager. And I will cover one technical role, which is the technical program manager, although there is as well a non-technical program managers as well in Amazon. So moving into a little bit the meat, I think maybe most of you maybe are familiar, but maybe we have some hands that, hey, we're not too much into this. The focus of today, as I mentioned, is to give the flavor of how things are in Amazon, and you can apply it anywhere else as well. So product managers own the what, okay, are we building and why we want to build it. So they identify the customer needs and translate that into a feature to be built or even to a new product to be launched. Typically, product managers, they define what success looks like for each product. They as well outline the product strategy, means how we're going to take it to market, when we're going to do it, and they illustrate how it will impact both the customer and the goals for the company or the business line that they are in. If you look into the Venn diagram at the bottom, I think right to you, there is a balance between a trifecta, which is the user experience or the customer needs, and then the business goals and the technical requirements. There is a say that we usually use: a good product manager must be experienced in at least one of those, either in the user experience and customer needs or in the technicality or the business goals. So you need to be at least experienced in one, but then passionate about all the three. And at the same time, you are convergent and have practitioners in all. So you need a team of those three to work with you. I'll give you an example. If you go to Amazon.com or Amazon.ca website, which is for the retail, when we say a product, let's say creating your user account is a product, like the registration process is a product in Amazon, and it has a team behind it. You go to the login page and the authentication, it's another product and it has a different team to own it. The shopping cart, it's a product. So the shopping cart is where you add the products, you remove the products. When you go to the checkout page, it's a product. So all of these are teams within Amazon, and they have a product managers, technical program managers to make sure they work and they work, in harmony together. So product managers, as well, they own a different success criteria for their products because they own the what and why. They need to prioritize ruthlessly. It's one of their skill set, means at one time, the product manager might have to decide between a feature that may make one big customer happy, but it will piss off or upset maybe hundreds of smaller customers. Or sometimes they have to make decisions. Should we maintain the product status quo, or should we steer it to another direction to expand or do something else with it? These decisions are literally a day-to-day for the product managers, and that's why they are sometimes strategic, sometimes tactical into that. Product managers, they need to know their land. So from my experience with the good product managers, they need to pump sometimes the brakes and start asking questions and say, hey, listen, maybe I don't know what I don't know. And if you are just even starting a new role into product management, don't jump into making decisions very quick. You need to spend a couple of months at least to talk to as many people and customers to understand, even to talk to your internal stakeholders to understand the business model, the history, what's going on, and the different people are influenced, and how decisions were made and are made, and all of that before you start jumping into the decision-making mode. As well, product managers, they will work with so many people in their day-to-day. They are not going to just work with the technical team to implement. In a company like Amazon, you need to make sure you are compliant. So you need to work with the legal team, with the marketing team for a go-to-market strategy, with the operations team for the post-launch support, with the data engineers to collect the data that you need and the KPI metrics and all of that. So product managers, they are really kind of like the hub, the CEOs of their products, and they just want to make sure they always have all the data and inputs they need to make these decisions. Now, PMs at Amazon, by the way, they own different artifacts and deliverables. The ultimate one is what we call it the product roadmap, is where's the direction of the product, which is actually, it's a doc that exhibits what the product will do, what it will achieve, and why we are doing it now versus what happens if we don't do or invest on it now. These are always the questions for the product managers that they have to answer in the product strategy and product roadmap. The go-to-market is another document, which is basically, it explains how we launch the product to our customers or users and what channels we will leverage and how much we will spend to do that. The BRDs, or what we call them, the business requirement documents or the press releases, these are basically documents that have detailed customer needs and user stories for each of the product or the features, right, that the product manager will write down. And both are about what is the messaging we want to deliver to our customers as we launch the product and where we will post that, we'll post those ones. I don't think maybe I will go in details right now in terms of like the product manager versus the product owner, because some people maybe interchangeably mix between both. However, what I want to say is typically product managers are more strategic and external. They look into the outside, the customers, the competition. Product owners are more tactical, executional, and internal. They make sure everything coming into the product backlog or the product requirements is executed. If you guys are interested in topic like that, I definitely can connect with you offline, or we can have a full session on this. Moving forward from an Amazon context, and before I go into some of the leadership principles, because I want to take you through the journey, how to prepare for the interview. Amazon leadership, or Amazon takes its leadership principles very seriously. And the Amazon LPs, or the leadership principles, are really embedded in our day-to-day. It's in our performance evaluation, and it's even in the job or the role guidelines. It is important for us to remember that even as Amazon employees in day-to-day. And it's important as well because when we are interviewing, or you are interviewing with Amazon, you will be assessed against them as part of the interview process, and I will touch into that in the next slides. So all these leadership principles that you see toward the right are really important for all Amazon employees. Some roles requires more muscles on specific ones versus others. Okay, so here, for example, for the product managers, the top 3 LP principles, in my opinion, are thinking big, because you need always to think about what is the product roadmap, what is the end goal of the product that you are building, how it's going to really add to the bottom line of the business, what is the success criteria, and then work backward from there and break it into steps or components to build, and what is really most important thing from a prioritization perspective. Then customer obsession. At Amazon, we always say we are customer-centric. We're the largest and most customer-centric company in the world. We always think about, hey, we build for customers, right? Sometimes we say this is right, and this is maybe not the right kind of like direction, but we say, okay, if this is what the customers want, we follow them, and we make sure we deliver based on that. So customer obsession is very important for product managers. Invent and simplify is another leadership principle, because the product managers, they need to make sure when they think big, they are always as well ready to invent and simplify and break it into kind of chunks of deliverable items. Okay, going to the second role, the technical program manager. If you recall, with the product managers, we said product managers, they own the what and why, what we want to deliver and why. Technical program managers, they own the when and how and who. So if you look into this, in most of the product development cycle or software development cycle at Amazon, TPMs and product managers, they partner a lot and very closely with each other. So the TPM role, or the technical program manager, is an executional role by its nature. It is to partner with the product managers once they completed and obtained approval for their product or feature funding from the leadership. This is when the TPMs will partner and become accountable for the execution runway to deliver what is written in the feature or product requirement document, if you remember the BRD that I mentioned. A TPM typically will work with multiple teams to deliver the functionality or the features. Sometimes we call them, okay, in other industries like program managers or project managers, but there is a T, which goes into a technical. I'll come to it in a bit. But typically, TPMs, they are the glue that holds these teams together. They keep a bird's eye view on what the teams are delivering and how the deliverables fit together. So they glue all of that together to make sure that the product is delivered. The T is the technical part of the TPM, and it's a technical bar, and it really requires identifying the dependencies and the technical risks that affect their teams. So you need to have a technical depth. I would say maybe a bird eye view, but you need to understand how the systems work together. What are the components? What are the dependencies on other systems? Not necessarily to be hands-on and coding. The program manager part of the TPM, which is the PM part, it definitely involves the scheduling, managing the sprints, and creating milestones and reporting, which is the typical project management kind of activities that you do. Now, the interplay of these two responsibilities, I would say between the T and the PM makes the TPM. It means that the TPM not only coordinates and schedules, but also helps the team to execute and against their schedules and really unblock both teams, the product and the technical teams. So how success looks like for technical program managers. We usually at Amazon, we know that TPMs are the trusted delegates to oversee the investments or the approved funding for the product and features. Means when leadership approve funding for product managers to fund their product and tell them, okay, this is how much you're going to get to build your product, then a TPM is assigned. And this is where the TPMs become the point of contact to answer and represent the product execution. And they are the delegates from the leadership to give them the actual status and progress of that execution. So basically, they are what we call them the point of contacts or the single-threaded leaders for execution post PMs, finished or completed their funding. TPMs in Amazon, by the way, they are the most authoritative executional role. Means they have the power to align all stakeholders toward the goal, or even ensure that they deliver based on the plan. They have the power to change resourcing, change planning, and all of that. So TPM is basically one of the most visible roles in Amazon. TPMs communicate a lot, and this is part of their success criteria. They really write a lot and communicate a lot in both forms, the written and verbal, and that's one of their core competencies in the company. So what TPMs want at Amazon? Planning and plan, simply because there is a program management there. So plan is the very important kind of like artifact that they have to keep it, living, and they have to make sure it's up to date always. And they will ensure that all the required resources and people that are allocated and they are performing as expected. They will as well intervene to help to escalate to get support where needed. So TPM is usually the first level of escalation for the execution team in a product development to get unblocked, and then the TPMs will escalate further if they cannot. So basically, TPMs are the ones who own all of these escalations in a company like Amazon. And as I mentioned, they will be the voice to represent product development and progress to leadership and provide updates as needed. And they will just collaborate across teams and bridge gaps, depends on the program and complexity, if it's within the same team or it's among different teams within Amazon. Okay, so back to the same point, what are the leadership principles? As I mentioned, all the 16 leadership principles in Amazon are taken seriously. On top of my mind, if you ask me about my opinion, the top 3 LPs for a TPM to be successful: ownership, earning trust, and having backbone, disagree, and commit. So by ownership, you need to act like an owner. By that, I mean, you need to make sure that your team are owning their pieces. Like software development engineer, they are owning their pieces and they are performing as expected. Your QA team, they are doing the same. Your product manager is doing the same. Your legal team is doing all of that, and ops team and compliance, and all of these teams are really owning on top of their things. And if they are not, you need to make sure there is an owner. And if not, some of the times we as TPMs step on to own that pieces or to fill in the gap as needed. I'll give you an example in one of my very recent programs because I'm a TPM in Amazon. We were delayed and we have so much of kind of like bottleneck on the QA. So I have to cover up and work as a QA to solve that problem. Earning trust because you work with people and you influence without authority. TPMs usually they don't have people that are reporting to them directly from an org chart. It's more project based. So earning trust is very important. You want people to trust you, and that's the influence. So you can achieve an influence without authority, kind of like muscle. The third one, which is I would say is very important, is having backbone, disagree and commit. So as a TPM, you need to be opinionated. You need to make sure decisions are made. Conflict is expected in Amazon. People have different opinions. Everyone needs to express that they have a backbone, but it is very important once everyone's opinion has been presented and discussed, the team maybe they will reach to the point that some has to disagree, some has to agree, but at the end of the day, the entire team will commit no matter what. So a decision is made and some disagreed and committed, some team they already committed to it. In some cases, we do a lot of escalations. It's okay, totally fine to escalate as long as you know your escalation path that, hey, I'm disagreeing, I cannot commit to this, I just want to escalate, and that's totally fine. And there is a different way and different discussion. It's maybe a full session on how to do that. But these are the top three LPs I would say that a TPM should really hold in addition to the all kind of like other 13 ones. I will pause here before I go into the meat. Any questions so far?
I just maybe have a follow-up. I know that, some folks get burned out real quick with the Amazon culture or the way that you just described, so because of the conflicts. So I
Yeah.
guess again, not everybody can really handle, that type of culture of disagree and commit and the escalation path. So and I'm sure, some people, resign real quick, after they join Amazon from that aspect.
Yeah, is this a question for me to confirm or to
No,
to
just
to
again,
to give?
this is already like everybody's,
Sure.
saying Amazon is not an easy culture to work in, and then definitely need a specific skill set and patience, and also
Sure.
leadership, and as you mentioned again, ownership, trust, disagree and commit, or commit and disagree, whatever that is, it's very important to understand those concepts.
Absolutely, Ahmed, you're right. Actually, you nailed it. Amazon has really, specific culture, I would say, and it's a by the way, it's both. I usually say people ask me, is it a bottom top or a top bottom approach? I would say Amazon is both. Amazon is a culture where it's a top bottom when we do annual planning, where okay, leadership come with a goal, and then it goes bottom top to make sure this goal is achieved and how we can achieve it. At the same time, it's a bottom top when you do as well annual planning when the teams they want to do something or they want to require some, let's say, funding, they come and say, okay, this is what we need, and then it goes up through the chain to get the funding that you need. So that's one specialty. In terms of like how it is in terms of like maybe causing some burnout or something like that, maybe. But Amazon is very specific in terms of you need to be vocal about your opinion. At the same time, find the right balance between, hey, this is my opinion. I supported it with the data as well. So Amazon is a very data-driven company. You cannot just have a conversation in Amazon based on opinions. You need to come and say, this is the data on the market, on maybe the data I have on the system, and this is what is the problem, and this is how I propose the solution. Now, solutions sometimes may not align for whatever reason, and this is why you need, as you mentioned, some patience. But at the same time, you need to document all of that and make sure that's part of the culture that we are pursuing. But the beauty about it is that once you learn that in Amazon, you can apply it in any single Amazon team. So I started with Amazon Canada, then Amazon Seattle with the Alexa team, and then I moved to the Amazon even fintech team, the payments, which is a team based in Middle East. Even with that, it's the same terminology, same processes in place, same everything in place. So once you learn it, and you get familiarized with it and you are into it, I think this is where you have force multiplication in terms of like you always learn and you always apply. It's not like you are working with different teams within the company.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Simon.
Great. So I want to go into the meat because I want to pause maybe in 10, 15 minutes and I maybe have some maybe questions, especially around the interviewing and career tips. As I mentioned, I'm not gonna focus today on how to beef up your resume or how to do the kind of like better digital presence or so. I will just focus today on, let's say you apply to Amazon and you got a call. So what to do after that? Okay. So general career tips. I would say product management is a serious career. So some people come and say, is product management really a serious career job? I was like, yes, it is. Although it's a new, but it's very important, especially for tech and now for tech, but even now for non-tech companies. And I usually say no one is born as a skilled PM or a TPM, a product manager or a technical program manager. You will need to learn it if you want to pursue any of the two. And there are so many resources and courses that will help you there, and I will share some toward the end of today's session. You can get into product management or technical program management regardless of your current role. So you can transition into product management, let's say from marketing or software development or even legal. It doesn't make any kind of like burden for you. Actually, it will help you a lot because most of the tech successful or the successful companies outside that, let's say this is a legal automation systems or so, it came from kind of like legal backgrounds, maybe PMs, that they were somehow working into the legal sector, but then, or they were legal professionals, and then they said, oh, I have a problem, I want to solve in the industry, and they built a solution around it. I would say, into the technical program management, specifically, not the program management, you need to give more attention to the T in the TPM role, as I said. T, it indicates there is a technical bar you need to meet. So at Amazon, you are not expected to be a coder if you are a TPM or hands-on, but you are expected to understand the systems as an overall and how it works at a component level and how it works with other systems and other dependencies. Those are important for you because whenever you have these conversations with the team, you do understand, oh, this component will do X and that component will do Y, and they have these dependencies among each of them. I will provide some resources, as I mentioned, toward the end of today's session to talk about this, but I need to spend more time into kind of like the interview preparation, so we can just go from there. You'll keep me showing you and talking about the 16 leadership principles at Amazon. So I will tell you, start with applying as many jobs as long they are related at Amazon. So don't limit yourself. Hey, I just applied for a position. I'm not going to apply again until I hear back. No, that's not necessarily the right approach. As long as you are applying for the maybe some related roles, I would say you can apply as much as you can. So let's say you can apply for, let's say, 10 different product management roles for 10 different teams at Amazon. That's not a problem. Or even sometimes you will apply for a program manager and a technical program manager if you meet the T component. It doesn't matter. So you should be good with that as long as you're just applying for similar roles and you don't like you are just, fishing for anything. And actually, this is encouraged because some teams, they are at a different stage into their pipeline building and their hiring stage. So that will keep your chances or improve your chances. The thing that as I want to say, let's say after that, after you applied, your resume tipped the interest. And by tipped the interest, internally, it came through the system. The recruiter said, oh, we have some candidates here. And you get approached by the Amazon recruiter. So you get approached by the Amazon recruiter by either a phone or an email to tell you, hey, we received your resume and we want to talk to you. So there are 3 different stages typically in Amazon, and this might look overwhelming, but give me kind of like 5 minutes, I'll go through that, but it's not once you know it, because this is how you kind of crack these interviews. Typically, Amazon interviewing process is a standard. And you should expect the same experience if you go through it more than once, means if you apply to different roles and you get really approached by the recruiter and you want it through the process. Now, you will be put in something called a hiring loop, which is a sequence of interviews for that specific role. And hiring loops, it will have specific interviewers assigned to it from the beginning, and those will be part of the committee. So the hiring loop is structured into three main stages. First one, what we call it the recruiting screen. And the recruiting screen is, as I mentioned, when you are approached by the Amazon recruiter, you will have kind of like a 45-minute to 1 hour kind of like call with that recruiter, basically to confirm, hey, that you are a real person, still available in the market, and you are interested in pursuing this opportunity further. And that call as well, the HR or the recruiter will spend most of the time asking questions about your current career and what you're trying to achieve. They will usually start in a chronological order from your first job to your most recent position. And you are expected, by the way, to answer the questions in the STAR format, which is the situation, task, action, result. I provided some resources there, but just in a nutshell, the situation, the first one, the S is for situation, which basically you need to describe the situation that you were in one of your experiences or previous experiences and what you needed to accomplish. So that's the situation. And you need to describe a specific event or a situation. You cannot be general. You need to be very specific on that and be sure to give enough details for the interviewer to understand before you move into the task. And when you go to the task, which is the T, which is basically what is the goal you were working toward. So you have the situation with the problem and you say, my goal was to do X. And then you do the action, which is you say, okay, and with that, my action or my responsibility was to address the situation with an appropriate amount of details, and I wanted to focus on your role on that situation or that action. Don't say, my team did this. You need to say, I did that. My responsibility was X within the team. And you need to be very specific about the steps you took and what was your particular contribution and what did you deliver exactly. And be careful that you don't describe what the team or group, as I mentioned, were doing. Just be specific about yourself and use the word I, don't use we for this. And then you go to the R, which is the result. You need to describe the outcome of your actions. You say, hey, I did X and I did Y. So we achieved, maybe sometimes you achieved, or sometimes no, the project has stopped for whatever reasons or whatever it is. It's good and it's not bad as well to bring these examples that they were successful and even not successful. But as well, you need to represent what did you learn. So this is what we delivered. This is what I learned. And make sure that your answer contain multiple positive results as well, if applicable. The second stage from that call is what we call it the first round. And the first round is basically a one interview with the hiring manager. So for this interview, you should be ready to sell yourself. You need to prepare fewer questions about the company culture. So you need to prepare questions. You need to ask questions. So it's not a monologue. And even you need to make sure that you need to understand the goals that the manager has and what projects you worked on and what the manager, maybe the hiring manager has and what support the hiring manager needs from you immediately, right? What are the expectations of the role? All of these questions has to come up and you need to discuss it with them. The hiring manager will usually be the easiest interviewer you come in contact with. Your conversation will likely be about the role itself, your career goals. You will have some repetitive from what you have done with the recruiter, but along with that relevant experience you have for the job, they will just assess it. And you should use this meeting as a chance to learn as much as possible about the job, because then you will go to the third stage, which I will talk to you about it. But you want to figure out what would I do? What would I do on my daily basis? What is a typical day for me, right? And what are the kind of like the projects you're going to work on? What is the business goal for this team? Some typically questions as well that you can ask. Ask them about what are the top 3 leadership principles for this role. I presented the 3 from my opinion, but it's good to pick their opinion about it because that will help you later on when you prepare for this third stage. Ask them how they define success for the role and what metric they have for this product or even for the role itself, and what specific tools they use or what is a typical day look like. So all of these questions are important because it will help you to navigate and understand and even learn. It's not a monologue one way that the hiring manager would ask you and you have to answer. You need to ask a lot of questions into the first round or the second stage of these interviews. Then we go to the stage three. And stage three is what we call it the final rounds of interviews. Typically, it's between 2 to 9 interviews. There's no rule of thumb there, but at Amazon internally, we say it depends on the role. So if you are applying to an L5, level 5, let's say, role, you will get 5 interviews. If you are applying for an L7, you will get 7 interviews. Those in addition to the first 2. So these interviews are really usually back to back, maybe in a 1 day or 2 days maximum. And the number of interviewers, as I mentioned, correlates sometimes to the role. Now, the most important part is that the remainder of the loop interviews here for this stage, it's a grab a bag. So some interviewers will be related to your role and others will be from a completely different team. And this is very important and very typical in Amazon. When you are in an interview loop or a hiring loop, you may not, and you are not expected to interview or to be interviewed by people from the same org. You will be interviewed by Amazon because they want to make sure you fit Amazon, right? So in fact, it's likely you will not even work with most of them in your actual job in the interviewing or the stage three, or they might not even know what job you are interviewing for. Sometimes they will know it, but they just focus, let's say, on a specific area, so they don't know exactly the specific role. So it's important as well to widen kind of like your knowledge to make sure, hey, I'm going to pitch myself to Amazon, not only to that role. Okay. So in this stage three, the interviewers are simply involved in the hiring process to test your cultural fit, and you will just know their names ahead of time. So make sure, by the way, you check them online, check their LinkedIn's, get an idea of their background, some of them if they are technical or non-technical, so at least you can orchestrate and navigate. And by the way, this is intentional by Amazon. They give you their names because they want you to do the research. Amazon intention from the interviewing or hiring loop is not to make sure, is not to break you, is just to make sure you are putting the effort because it's a lengthy process here. So in some cases, after that, you might be asked to do a writing test. In my case, I got a writing test. I can go through that in details, but some roles, not all roles in Amazon, will require you to submit a writing test. You can do it offline. Typically, it's a 2 to 3 pages, give and take, and you need to complete it on your own and then report it back. It's the same. The best way to write this is by using the STAR method or the STAR format. My recommendations are keep the length to 2 to 3 pages, no more than that. Revise your writing and writing sample. Do not use ChatGPT. Do not use any online tools for that. Use your own writing and read experiences. And always include reasoning behind decisions you made in the story or whatever is the question comes to you. Include numbers and data where you can. It's very important because Amazon is one of the biggest data-driven companies. If you got a chance someday to work in Amazon, you will know that every single week we don't make decisions based on opinions. We make it based on data. We have full data analytics, BI teams come every week, give us our business metric to make decisions, corrective decisions there. I think I talked a little bit about the STAR method. I will provide some resources toward the end of today's slide. I just want to talk about the very last thing, the bar raiser. This is a person that you don't know about. This person who is actually the one thing who could make or break the outcome of whether you will or will not be hired at Amazon. And the bar raiser is that person. And that bar raiser is part of the hiring committee. Usually you don't know them, you won't know them. A bar raiser is a skilled interviewer on the hiring committee, as I mentioned, who acts as a neutral third party in the decision and will meet toward the very end of the hiring loop when you have already met or got interviewed by everyone to make sure, okay, what is the decision and make sure that there's a facilitation of a decision of a hire, no hire. So what is a bar? The bar is like, because a raiser is a person, so what is the bar? The bar is an imaginary line that represents that you need to be on the top 50% of all Amazon employees working on that role, so to be hired. So basically, anyone is hired in Amazon, it's under the assumption that that person has already met the bar by being on the top 50% compared to the rest of the Amazonians or the Amazon employees who are working on the same role. I know that we are just on time on that. I just want to see here very quick. I just want to go through some tips very quickly before I just adjourn this and open it for questions. Please, please, please. The recruiter will share resources with you if you get approached by them, lots of links, lots of documents. Please dive into them and do more diving online on Amazon as a company, on its product, the culture, the role you are applying for, and the team you will work with if available. It is very important. It will help you. Again and again, take Amazon leadership principles seriously and apply them in your answers. So for example, if you are applying for a TPM role, show them, hey, I was in a situation where, okay, my team disagreed or there was a conflict on the team and I have to step in, and then I dive into the technology and make a technology decision. I presented it and this is the decision we have made. So shows that you have a backbone and you have a disagree and commit with the team. So it's very important to plug it. Amazon looks into that. Your interviewers will look into that, especially the interviewers that they are not from the same team that you will work on. Third thing, take down notes. If you are in person, have a notepad and a pen with you. If you are online, you can tell the recruiter or sorry, the interviewer online, hey, I'm just gonna maybe swipe my head right and left between screens, but I'm writing notes, or write it down on a paper. Write notes for yourself so you can go back to it, because they will build the interviews based on that. It is important as well to present your thought process and mental model, not only the right answers. So please don't answer questions before you clarify or ask for a clarification or even provide context. And don't be afraid to restate the question and problem. Fear aside, make sure that you are or you don't start solving until you have clarified the problem. I'll give you an example. One of the questions came to me, hey, build for us a system that can do a conversation between two parties. You cannot just jump into a solution. Just say, okay, do you want it to be an async or a sync conversation, a voice or a video call or a chat? Okay, do you want it to be only two participants or multi-participants? Oh, do you have a technology preference? Ask these questions, write it down. You will have some time to think about it. Tell them, hey, can I take 2 minutes to think about it? Write questions and then ask, and then provide solutions. Because after you restate and understand, then you can be concise in the answer. This means do not talk too much, just answer, but spend the time you are talking by asking questions and so. And it's very important to show that you solved the right problem versus delivered a working solution. They need to understand, and the interviewers, they need to understand that, hey, how you think, what's your mental model? Did you ask the right questions? Are you driven by assumptions? Put some assumptions and present it to them. Last thing, and then I will pause. You are not in an exam. You are an interview, and the interview should never be a monologue. It's not a one-way. You need to ask questions about the role, the team, the challenges. If you don't get it, just ask questions, and even other aspects like location, work-life balance. Ask that. This is how you're going to be assessed as well. These are the resources. I definitely can share it with you offline about all of what we have talked, some videos and all of that. I really wanted to go very quick so I can just maybe pause for questions. Any questions so far? Sorry, I think we can just pause for the Q&A.
I don't see any questions in the chat, but again, I think this is very, very useful information. Lots of wisdom here, Simon. Thank you so much. And again, it seems like a big thing. Like getting a job into Amazon is almost like the government in the process and the way it's structured. I guess again, it takes a while, maybe like months. I don't think you can get hired in weeks time. So maybe if you want to spend some time on how long normally the average for a hiring in Amazon.
So that's a good question, Ahmed. I haven't seen anything happens before than less than 3 weeks. And I haven't seen anything goes beyond than 3 months. So between 3 weeks to 3 months, maybe the thing, it can go lengthy, honestly, because depends on the role. Typically L4, like, okay, L1 to 3 usually for fulfillment centers, but I'm talking in a profession, L4, 5 will take maybe a month and a half maximum. L6 and 7 will take longer because they are more into the senior leadership. So yeah, I would say give yourself maybe a 6 weeks. That's including the negotiation and kind of like the feedback that you will get, which I didn't cover, by the way. That's a different topic.
Yeah, so that's an important maybe question. So 6 weeks, do you expect like every week there is something happening, or there could be like a gap 1 week or something?
In some cases, you will get some gap. So let's say between the okay, so let's put it this way. Your first stage, which is the recruiter screening, remember you are at the top of the funnel, right? There is a funnel, and you are on the top of it. So the recruiter here maybe started talking to you and maybe they have another 50 candidates or 20 candidates. So if you are the very first one, it's different than if you are the number 20, okay? So if you are the very first one, there is still another maybe week for that recruiter to finish the screening. So this might be a week of kind of gap. And then when you go to your first round, that means you are not still alone by yourself. Your first round, maybe the hiring manager will have, I would say, maybe 5 candidates or 10 candidates sometimes, depends on the role. And then from there, you will have some gap. And then when you go to the final round, typically final round, if they told you, hey, we are inviting you for a final round, that means you are between another maximum two. I would say you are competing with another two, or sometimes even one, or sometimes even by yourself. So there is no rule of thumb there. Depends on the candidates if they are in between. So you expect some gaps, I would say. That's why it takes 6 weeks. But what I would say, the same round itself, there are no gaps. So let's say you are in your final round and there is like 6 interviews. They're not gonna do one interview and then 2 weeks after one interview. No, those 6 interviews will be squeezed within 1 to 3 days maximum.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Again, open floor for anyone who has any follow-up question. This is, again, very useful information, lots of wisdom here. So I know that this may take some time for you guys to digest and go through the whole content. But again, feel free if there is anything top of mind right now to ask Simon in the next few minutes.
And if you don't, guys, feel free to connect with me offline. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm anywhere, just away by a message. So connect with me, and I'm more than happy to help.
Awesome. Cool. So I don't see any questions. I'll just put again the link to the community. Okay, Samer, please go ahead, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Ahmed.
Good morning, Samer. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I would like to thank you for this very organized session and informative. Really appreciate this is helping the community hopefully a lot, and you made it very tailored for the Amazon. Thank you very much for your participation. I just wanted to thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
I also want to say the same thing. I had very less expectation actually when I joined it, but I must say I'm very pleasantly surprised by the amount of so much useful information that you have provided. It really helped a lot, and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Again, if you want to have more sessions like this in the future, I'm building a community. You can just join that community, link it in the chat, and we'll be posting more sessions in that community, and we'll be uploading the recording as well to that community so that you can find all resources in the same place. So if you're okay, guys, do you want to hop in camera? We can take a group selfie. We use this to promote this community and help advertise for future calls. So if you're comfortable being in camera and becoming celebrity for this community, this is your time. If you're not comfortable, that's fine. It's all good.
I think I'm good from my end.
Okay, awesome. So let's take the group selfie. Let me just put gallery mode if anyone wants to join. Okay, I'll give it a few seconds. I see some folks opening their cameras. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, so I'll say 1, 2, 3, and I want to see a smile. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and smile. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, Simon. This was amazing session and lots of great wisdom here. Again, we'll be uploading this, and hopefully we'll have another session with Simon in the next few weeks. We'll just finalizing the topic and the content and the date, and we'll be advertising this soon in the channels. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, everyone. Good luck. Good luck, everyone. Thank you.